The provisions around zero alcohol licences that are outlined in this part and the consequential changes that requires. And I would say that Labor, of course, is supporting most of this bill, including the provisions around zero blood alcohol levels. So for those that are repeat drunk drivers and for those under the age of 20, and we think that they are positive moves and that those moves will make a real difference to alcohol harm, to costs and lives and accidents, injuries and families losing their loved ones. So in that regard, we are very supportive of these provisions and the required changes that will bring into place the zero alcohol licences as outlined in this part. However, the real concern is that this doesn't go far enough, that in providing for those zero alcohol licences in those situations and retaining the 0.08% blood alcohol limit in other situations, i.e. the non-zero alcohol licences, then this is actually well out of step with the research, well out of step with what most of the public want, and well out of step with what we need. And my concern is that by failing to address that specific point, I think that the government do not realise just how seriously the public take this matter. And as somebody who sat in on submissions on this bill, the Land Transport, Road Safety and Other Matters Amendment Bill, and am currently involved in the Select Committee considering the Alcohol Reform Bill, I have heard many submitters. On the Alcohol Reform Bill, we have had thousands of submissions, and approximately 1,000 of those people have wanted to make oral submissions. And most of them have submitted that they want to see the blood alcohol concentration, the blood alcohol level, reduced from 0.08 to 0.05. Now, what is really concerning is that in terms of dealing with that issue in relation to the Alcohol Reform Bill, we have been told, the Select Committee has been told, that reducing the alcohol blood limit to 0.05 is out of scope. So it's out of scope for the Alcohol Reform Bill, but in fact it was clearly in scope for this bill. So we were told it was out of scope because it was being dealt with as part of the Land Transport, Road Safety and Other Matters Amendment Bill. Consequently, we see, of course, that that has not made any change, that the government have not been willing to do the right thing. And I don't actually think, unlike a number of my colleagues, I don't think it's about doing the brave thing, because I actually think on this issue the public mind is fairly clear. People want to see this change, and they want to see it probably for the same reasons that my colleague Grant Robertson said, because in their guts they know it's right. They've seen the evidence of what it looks like when people have drunk enough to go over the limit at 0.08, and they are drunk. Most people are drunk at that limit and should not be driving a vehicle, and people know that. And in fact, one of the perverse consequences, I think actually, of all of the publicity and all of the media stunts around this issue, which has probably shocked us all, I reckon most of the members in this House have probably been quite shocked, as the Minister was, of course, by the fact that you can drink so much and remain under 0.08. And so one of the perverse consequences of this, which has shocked people, is that more people now know that they can probably drink more than they thought and still drive. And I hope that there isn't an irresponsible section of the public that use that information to actually now go out on the road where they previously would not. And that's the important thing about setting the blood alcohol limit, is that it sends a very important signalling of what we think is acceptable. So in setting a zero alcohol limit, as is provided for in this bill and which we wholeheartedly support for repeat drink drivers and young drivers, it's sending a very clear message, as would dropping the blood alcohol level to 0.05. Now there's a specific matter which could have been dealt with as part of this as well and would have made a huge difference. And I raised it both in terms of the Land Transport, Road Safety and Other Matters Amendment Bill, but also in the alcohol reform process. And that is the opportunity that is provided by people being...
Right. David Shearer.